what can lawyers start to do to develop that brand that will attract the firms that have the better culture, that will get them the, not just the payday, but the place that they could stay for their career and not think about how to jump ship or when I have to do this or go there or do that? What are maybe a couple things that they should be working on right now to get to that point?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think you answered the question with your own great points there, because, you know, if you're trying to elevate that brand and get yourself noticed and get those opportunities, then being your true authentic self through storytelling. Okay.
Okay.
Because everybody has a story. So documenting your journey, the highs and lows, you know, what's working well for you right now. You mentioned, you know, we're going to have some good days, some bad days. There's ways to educate your audience and build community. And the best way to do that is through storytelling. I can tell you now, it's the #1 skill that I'm working on right now. You know, and I'm pretty active across social. I'm the most followed legal recruiter in the world. I'm working with LinkedIn directly. I'm on fast track for their creator program. I've got all these exciting things going on, but I'm still finessing my storytelling because it's the #1 thing people buy. You know, it's a human to human relationships. You know, we talk about B2B and B2C. No, it's H to H. It's human to human, every interaction, and people want to know more about you. Let them into the stories, educate them, take them on the journey. More people will buy into you. You look at anyone who's got a very successful personal brand, they're brilliant at storytelling.
So let's take that a step further. I interviewed Barbara Kaplan, I don't know, let's say a month ago, and she talked about finding your why. And I think
Yep.
most people have heard that, but I don't know that they know what to do with it. So you take a lawyer that does estate planning, who is in a sea of attorneys that do estate planning in a particular city. And what's their why? How do they develop and communicate their why so that their brand and their notoriety within their space can be exposed and it can elevate their game?
Yeah, it's a good question. Ultimately, they will know what their why is. They just need to go out there and think about it.
Okay.
And you got to think about it. You know, we're one of a kind. You know, we're born unique. So you don't want to try and be a copy. The fact that you have your own individuality, your own uniqueness, that is its story in itself. If I was to give some tips on how to be good at storytelling or things to think about, if you're trying to think about some postings or delivering a keynote speech, think of it in this way. And this is what Chris Doe said to me, who's a really good thought leader and really good personal branding expert. 3 short sentences to kick things off. So if you're thinking of maybe trying to do a LinkedIn post, you're an estate planning attorney, think of 3 short sentences that might get people hooked. You know, I can't believe this happened. I might have to, okay, I'm going to share it. Something like that, whatever. That's a very basic, boring example, but 3 short, sharp sentences to get people hooked into the start of your story, whatever it is. Maybe when you first started, how you got your first estate planning job, or maybe when you got rejected from that interview, what did you learn from that? Or maybe when you landed your first client, you know, what was that experience? Or how have you taken that client from somebody who told you to go away to now being your most profitable client? You know, what was the stories, the learnings, the tellings along the way? And if you want an even simpler way how to be good at storytelling, remember these 3 words. Don't ever start a story saying, hi, my name is Rob Hanna. No one cares. When I was 5 years old, I remember the seagull swooped down and took the basic example, Steve, but when I was, the best way to start any storytelling as well. 3 short, sharp sentences, or when I was. Lawyers can remember the rest, and you put the meat behind the bones and you'll be a really good storyteller.